1,5 hari dan mereka tidak punya rumah.
And you've got all of these homeless, hungry people that now go into Jerusalem and start walking around.
Ya, jadi berarti banyak orang yang lapar, yang tidak mempunyai rumah, yang sekarang sedang berjalan ke Yerusalem.
What happened to them?
Apa yang terjadi pada mereka?
Why don't we have any reports?
Kenapa tidak ada laporan mengenai mereka?
And they would have had some really cool stories to tell.
Ya, pasti mereka banyak cerita-cerita yang bagus yang bisa mereka ceritakan.
Hey, I haven't seen you around before here. Where are you from?
Ya, saya belum melihat kamu untuk waktu yang lama. Kamu dari mana?
I live 3 doors down from King Solomon.
Ya, saya tinggal 3 rumah sebelah Raja Salomo.
Oh yeah, right, buddy. I think you've been drinking.
Oh iya, betul, aku rasa kamu mabuk.
No, I live right down there. So what's going on?
Jadi benar, saya tinggal di sana. Apa yang terjadi?
Oh yeah, I was up in heaven. I just spoke with Elijah the other day.
Oh iya, saya di surga. Saya baru berbicara dengan Elia.
I mean, you would think that we would have some reports about these guys, but you don't hear anything.
Ya, kita akan berpikir bahwa kita akan menemukan laporan-laporan mengenai orang-orang ini, tapi kita tidak mendengarkan apa-apa.
So several years ago, I was reading some commentaries, and there are some major scholars, even some conservative ones, that make an interesting suggestion.
Ya, karena itu beberapa tahun yang lalu saya membaca komentari dari komentator-komentator yang terkenal, dan mereka memberikan saran yang baik.
They say that many times when you read about the death of a great king, you find various signs that occur.
Dia mengatakan sering sekali ketika kita membaca tentang kematian seorang raja yang besar, maka kita menemukan tanda-tanda yang terjadi.
When Julius Caesar died, it was said that Mount Etna erupted.
Ya, ketika Kaisar Julius Caesar meninggal, dikatakan Mount Everest,
What did I say? Etna?
Etna. Maka gunung Etna meletus.
What did I say?
Etna.
Yeah, Etna.
Okay.
Mount Etna erupted.
Okay, sorry.
And then
ya, gunung Etna meletus.
there was darkness all over the world.
Dan kemudian kegelapan di seluruh bumi.
Streams stopped moving.
Ya, sungai berhenti mengalir.
Black intestines were seen outside of cattle.
Black intestine.
Yeah, like
isi perut yang hitam-hitam itu ada di luar daripada binatang-binatang.
that pale phantoms were seen walking around at sunset.
Pale phantom.
Ghosts.
Jadi hantu-hantu pucat kemudian dikatakan berjalan pada waktu matahari terbenam.
And fighting was seen in the heavens, in the sky.
Dan terjadi perkelahian di langit.
Now, that's kind of interesting, some of these signs.
Ya, menarik tanda-tanda ini.
And then when you read about the death of Claudius Caesar,
Dan ketika kita membaca tentang kematian Kaisar Claudius,
similar things happen.
hal yang sama terjadi.
Ghosts are seen walking around.
Ya, hantu-hantu dikatakan berkeliaran.
Voices are heard in the forest.
Kemudian suara-suara terdengar di hutan.
Fighting is seen in the skies.
Ada pertempuran terjadi di langit.
The doors to the temple of Jupiter, which took many men to open by themselves.
Ya, dan pintu gerbang kuil Jupiter yang sebenarnya perlu beberapa orang untuk membukanya, sekarang terbuka sendiri.
A large woman who had snakes as her hair was seen walking around.
Dan seorang perempuan yang besar di mana rambutnya itu banyak ular terlihat berjalan.
Interesting things.
Ya, hal-hal menarik.
Before the temple was destroyed, Josephus reported a number of signs.
Ya, sebelum bait Allah dihancurkan, Yosefus juga melaporkan beberapa tanda.
Fighting was seen in the heavens.
Ya, terjadi peperangan di surga.
The doors to the temple, which were so heavy they took more than 20 men to open by themselves.
Ya, dan pintu ke bait Allah yang begitu berat yang diperlukan 20 orang untuk membukanya terbuka sendiri.
A cow gave birth to a lamb.
Ya, seekor lembu melahirkan anak domba.
A comet was seen.
Komet dilihat.
Yeah. Even Julius Caesar's death, a comet was seen.
Ya, bahkan di dalam kematian Julius Caesar juga ada komet.
So I found many of these things in the ancient Jewish and Greco-Roman writings.
Saya menemukan banyak hal seperti itu di dalam tulisan kuno Yahudi maupun Yunani Romawi.
Even the New Testament seems to do a little of this.
Dan bahkan perjanjian baru sepertinya juga melakukan sedikit seperti ini.
In the book of Acts at Pentecost, we find that the apostles were speaking in tongues.
Ya, di dalam kitab Kisah Rasul di hari Pentakosta kita melihat bahwa para rasul berbahasa lidah.
And the people said, well, these guys are drunk.
Dan orang-orang mengatakan, orang-orang ini mabuk.
And Peter said, "No, we're not drunk. This is what was prophesied by the prophet Joel in Joel chapter 2."
Tapi Petrus mengatakan tidak, kami tidak mabuk, ini sudah dinubuatkan oleh Nabi Yoel di dalam Yoel 2.
Old men will have visions, young men will have dreams.
Ya, orang tua akan mendapatkan penglihatan, orang muda akan mendapatkan mimpi.
The Holy Spirit will fall on people and they will prophesy.
Ya, Roh Kudus akan dicurahkan pada orang dan mereka akan bernubuat.
The sun will go dark and the moon will turn into blood.
Ya, matahari akan menjadi gelap dan bulan menjadi seperti darah.
And when this happens, whoever calls on the name of the Lord will be saved.
Dan ketika ini terjadi, siapapun yang memanggil nama Tuhan akan diselamatkan.
Peter goes on in Acts chapter 2 to say, this is what has happened in your presence.
Dan Petrus mengatakan di dalam Kisah 2 dan berkata, inilah yang terjadi.
And then he asks the Jews listening to them preach, he says to call on the name of the Lord to be saved.
Dan ketika dia kemudian mengkhotbahkan orang-orang Yahudi itu, dia kemudian meminta mereka memanggil nama Tuhan untuk diselamatkan.
Now, of course, the sun didn't go out that day.
Ya,
The
tentu
moon
saja.
didn't turn into blood, and the stars
Matahari-
didn't fall out of the sky.
Ya, matahari tidak menjadi gelap dan bulan tidak menjadi darah dan bintang-bintang tidak jatuh.
This is symbolic, hyperbolic language.
Ini adalah bahasa hiperbol.
Much like today, I don't know if you would say it over here, but in the U.S. we would say that the terrorist attacks of 9/11 was an earth-shaking event.
Ya, misal di Amerika kami akan mengatakan bahwa serangan teroris 9/11 itu adalah peristiwa yang menggoncangkan atau menggoncangkan bumi.
Now, that is just symbolic, hyperbolic language. We don't really mean to say that the earth shook that day.
Ya, tentu saja itu adalah bahasa hiperbol karena tidak dimaksudkan bahwa bumi benar-benar bergoncang.
This kind of language we find in the Jewish writings and the Greco-Roman writings.
Ya, jadi bahasa seperti ini kita dapatkan di dalam tulisan Yahudi maupun tulisan Yunani Romawi.
Given the theological and historical problems or challenges to the raised saints at Jesus' death, there are a number of conservative scholars that suggested that this is the kind of language that Matthew is using.
Melihat masalah teologis maupun historis tentang ayat ini mengenai orang-orang kudus yang dibangkitkan, maka beberapa komentator ahli-ahli konservatif mengatakan ini adalah bahasa hiperbol.
And I'm very open to that interpretation.
Ya, dan saya sangat terbuka kepada tafsiran itu.
Now, some would say, well, if you had that kind of interpretation with Matthew's raised saints, what about Jesus' resurrection?
Dan mungkin ada yang berkata kalau kamu menafsirkan mengenai orang-orang kudus yang dibangkitkan itu seperti itu, bagaimana dengan kebangkitan Yesus?
There's a huge difference between the two.
Ada perbedaan yang sangat besar di antara keduanya.
We can see that there's really good evidence for Jesus' resurrection, whereas we don't have any evidence for these raised saints in Matthew.
Kita melihat banyak sekali bukti mengenai kebangkitan Yesus, sedangkan mengenai kebangkitan orang-orang kudus ini sama sekali tidak ada bukti.
Paul also said in 1 Corinthians 15 that if Christ was not raised from the dead, then we're not going to be raised from the dead.
Paulus juga mengatakan di dalam 1 Korintus 15, kalau Paulus tidak dibangkitkan dari kematian, kita juga tidak akan dibangkitkan dari kematian.
And then Paul says, if we're not going to be raised from the dead, let's just go party and have fun now because we're going to die and there's no afterlife.
Dan Paulus mengatakan kalau kita tidak dibangkitkan dari kematian, mari kita berpesta saja karena kita akan mati dan tidak akan ada kehidupan setelah kematian.
So for Paul and the Jerusalem apostles, the truth of Christianity and our future existence in heaven were entirely dependent on whether Jesus actually rose from the dead.
Jadi buat Paulus maupun rasul-rasul di Yerusalem, ya kehidupan kita di dalam kekekalan nanti dan apakah kita akan dibangkitkan, itu semata-mata itu sangat berkaitan dengan kebangkitan Yesus.
So it's possible that Matthew interpreted those raised saints in a symbolic sense.
Jadi mungkin sekali bahwa Matius sebenarnya menafsirkan orang-orang kudus yang dibangkitkan itu dalam nuansa simbolik.
But that's not possible when it comes to the resurrection of
Tetapi itu
Jesus.
tidak mungkin ketika berbicara tentang kebangkitan Yesus.
Saya mau menambahkan sedikit.
He wants to add something to your explanation.
Sesuai dengan yang dikatakan Bapak tentang guy version, versi laki-laki.
Sesuai, according to what you say, the guy version in telling a story.
Jadi di sini pun Matius sedang menggunakan guy version.
Here, Matthew also using a guy version.
Jadi kematian Yesus mengakibatkan banyak hal, yaitu tabir bait Allah terbuka, tetapi juga orang menikmati kebangkitan.
So the death of Christ makes several things happen. For example, the curtain of the temple was torn, but also a lot of people enjoy the resurrection.
Jadi dalam hal ini bukan imminent, bukan historical, tapi apa yang terjadi segera sesudah Yesus mati.
So this is history. This is not history, but it happens directly after.
Tidak bicara fakta begitu, tapi the imminent yang akan terjadi itu dihadirkan langsung akibat dari kematian Yesus.
Oh, it shows that what will happen imminently after Christ raised from the dead. So
Jadi agak mirip dengan kasus Yohanes memberi Roh Kudus.
Yohanes-
Terimalah Roh Kudus. Peristiwanya kan seperti Kisah Rasul.
So it's similar to John says that receive the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
Chronologically,
Yeah,
the
so
Holy
he's
Spirit
compressing the
is received.
story, you're saying.
Yeah. So again, with your Guy version of Matthew, I see is also fit here, because what Matthew is going to say is actually through the death of Christ, then
People will be raised.
God now is approachable karena tabir terbuka, bukan? And also there is a hope for the death because the resurrection become reality. Thank you. Let's according to R.T. France.
Yeah. I am open to that. We just really, it's hard to tell what Matthew is doing here. And that's why I've kind of moved back and forth on some things. For me, it's hard to tell what's happening.
Ya, jadi itu memang sulit dikatakan mengenai apa yang Matius maksudkan. Jadi dia juga terbuka apa yang dikatakan oleh Pak Mangapul.
Comets and eclipses of the sun are common signs throughout a lot of this literature at the death of people and big events.
Ya, jadi komet dan eklips daripada matahari sering dikatakan terjadi pada peristiwa-peristiwa besar tersebut.
There is John Ramsey of the University of Chicago has published a catalog of the reports of Greco-Roman of comets in the Greco-Roman world between 500 BC and 400 AD.
Ya, dan John Ramsey daripada Universitas Chicago mempubliskan suatu katalog mengenai komet di dalam kehidupan Yunani Romawi dari tahun 500 sebelum Masehi sampai 400 Masehi.
There are a few cases in which we can corroborate that a comet actually appeared there, such as Halley's Comet. We know it would have been around that time. Or, in many cases, it's confirmed by reports in the Chinese literature of that time, which would have had no intersection with the Roman literature.
Ya, ada beberapa hal yang bisa kemudian kita melihat memang ada komet, misalnya seperti Halley, komet Halley yang kita tahu ada pada waktu itu, atau kita bisa menemukan di dalam literatur Cina yang sebenarnya tidak ada kaitannya.
So, in some of the instances in the ancient literature, we have the ability to confirm that a comet actually appeared at the time, and that when it reported things such as a comet, darkness, phantoms were seen walking around, all that, we can confirm that the comet actually appeared.
Ya, jadi dari laporan itu yang mengenai ada komet, ada hantu yang berkeliaran dan ada kegelapan, kita bisa menegaskan bahwa komet itu benar-benar ada.
But now what's interesting is NASA. Do you know NASA?
Yeah,
NASA has a website you can go to, and you can enter a year, and you can click on the geographical region, and it will tell you whether an eclipse was visible within that part of the world during that year.
Sekarang menarik bahwa di web NASA kita bisa kemudian klik di sana dan untuk melihat misalnya pada tahun ini tempat itu apakah eklips bisa terlihat di dalam daerah tersebut.
What we find in several cases is that in reports where it says there was an eclipse of the sun and a comet, we can confirm that the comet was there, but we can also confirm that there was no eclipse that was visible that year.
Tetapi menarik ketika kita melihat catatan-catatan tadi ada eklips dan ada komet, komet itu bisa terjadi, tetapi eklips itu tidak, gerhana itu tidak terjadi.
This informs us that the Greco-Roman historians would mix historical details with poetic details.
Ya, berarti para sejarawan akan mencampurkan detil sejarah dengan detil bahasa puisi.
We could see the Christians doing this on occasion, like I mentioned in the book of Acts. Stars didn't fall out of the sky and the moon turned into blood that day, and yet they were out preaching the gospel and speaking in tongues. So we can see some historical details with some poetic details mixed in there.
Ya, jadi kita juga bisa melihat di dalam tulisan-tulisan perjanjian baru ya, seperti pada Pentakosta tidak ada kemudian matahari yang gelap dan sebagainya, tetapi memang mereka kemudian berbahasa lidah dan mereka kemudian berkhotbah.
Unfortunately, that makes it difficult for us as historians to determine which ones of these were meant to be understood as historical.
Ya, tetapi sayangnya menjadi sulit bagi kita sejarawan untuk melihat yang mana yang seharusnya kita tafsirkan sebagai sejarah, yang mana itu sebenarnya bahasa puisi.
And I would add, it doesn't work to say, well, I believe it happened because the Bible said so.
Ya, dan dalam hal ini kita tidak bisa mengatakan, saya percaya itu terjadi karena Alkitab mengatakan.
Because the moon is still in the sky, it didn't turn into blood at Pentecost.
Ya, karena bulan itu tetap ada di langit dan tidak menjadi darah pada waktu Pentakosta.
So it's obvious that Luke, who wrote Acts, wasn't meaning for us to understand that as a literal event.
Ya, jelas bahwa Lukas yang menuliskan Kisah Rasul tidak memaksudkan supaya kita menafsirkannya secara harafiah.
So I'm open to what you're saying, how Matthew is doing that to foreshadow the general resurrection and things like this, the temple veil being symbolic of we have access to God. We just don't know for sure. I don't know that we ever can.
Ya, jadi saya terbuka dengan petafsiran Pak Mangapul bahwa itu adalah simbol daripada setelah Yesus bangkit nanti orang-orang kudus akan dibangkitkan. Ya.
Tampaknya ayat-ayat ini suatu tantangan bagi eksplorasi studi biblika ya saudara ya. Ya, dari Pak Perkantas mau bicara silakan. Pak Anwar Chen ya. Oke, siap.
Well, it's very interesting and challenging actually the way you put different elements of disciplines, I would say, like historical, scientific, plus theological together.
Sangat menarik bahwa Dr. Likona bisa memasukkan bidang-bidang yang berbeda ya, seperti teologi, sains dan sejarah.
I think the basic question from a hermeneutical point of view still is how we treat our data.
Our data.
Data.
Tetapi pertanyaan mendasar secara hermeneutik adalah bagaimana kita memperlakukan data-data yang kita miliki.
Because I think history is so closely intertwined with theology.
Karena bagi saya melihat bahwa sejarah itu begitu erat berkaitan dengan teologi.
I think that would be quite a challenge for a historian to filter, what is really theological and what is historical.
Dan saya rasa itu merupakan suatu tantangan bagi sejarawan untuk melihat yang mana yang sejarah dan yang mana yang teologi.
Well, I think this should apply also to the questions of resurrection.
Dan saya rasa ini juga berkaitan dengan pertanyaan mengenai kebangkitan.
I think you're right to an extent.
Dan saya rasa saudara betul sampai tahap tertentu.
Even many conservative scholars will say the Gospels are both history and theology.
Ya, bahkan ahli-ahli yang konservatif mengatakan bahwa Injil itu mencakupi dua-duanya, historis dan teologis.
I've been looking at the Gospels very, very closely for the last 5 years and trying to understand them according to the genre of ancient biography.
Dan saya dalam 5 tahun terakhir meneliti dengan secara dekat Injil untuk mengerti genrenya di dalam konteks ini adalah teks kuno.
And I'm finding some really interesting things that maybe you and I can talk about offline.
Ya, teks kuno mengenai biografi dan saya menemukan banyak hal yang menarik, tapi mungkin kita bicara sendiri saja nanti, Pak.
It's just too much to get into right now.
Ya, terlalu banyak untuk dibagikan sekarang ini.
But I do think that as we look at the Gospels, there are certain things that we can determine that they're historically reliable.
Tapi saya rasa ketika kita melihat Injil ada hal-hal yang bisa kita pastikan bahwa ini bisa dipercaya secara sejarah.
Virtually all historical Jesus scholars will acknowledge that the evidence is there to show that Jesus taught in parables.
Ya, hampir semua ahli Yesus seminar percaya bahwa benar Yesus mengajar dalam perumpamaan.
That he performed deeds that astonished the crowds that he thought were miracles and exorcisms.
Ya, bahwa dia melakukan perbuatan-perbuatan yang mencengangkan kerumunan yang dipikirkan sebagai mukjizat dan pengusiran setan.
That he was crucified on the orders of Pontius Pilate.
Dan dia disalibkan di bawah perintah Pontius Pilatus.
That he taught that he was teaching about the kingdom of God.
Dan bahwa dia mengajarkan tentang kerajaan Allah.
And then shortly after his death, the disciples and even the skeptic Paul had experiences they thought were of the risen Jesus.
Dan tidak lama setelah kematiannya, kemudian dia menampakkan diri dan bahkan Paulus yang tadinya skeptik kemudian menjadi bertobat.
And even let's just assume for a moment, just say for the sake of a moment that the Gospels have some theological elements in it when it comes to the resurrection. That doesn't mean that Jesus didn't rise from the dead any more than the theological elements at his crucifixion means that he wasn't crucified.
Ya, marilah kalau kita asumsikan bahwa ada elemen teologis di dalam kebangkitan, itu bukan berarti bahwa Yesus tidak bangkit. I do not understand the last sentence, just as about the...
Just as there are theological elements in the story of Jesus' crucifixion doesn't mean he wasn't crucified.
Sama seperti ada nuansa teologi di dalam penyaliban Yesus tidak berarti bahwa Yesus tidak disalibkan.
I think Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and John, in my opinion, interpreted certain historical events in light of Jesus' teachings.
Ya, saya rasa Matius, Markus, Lukas, dan Yohanes menafsirkan peristiwa-peristiwa tertentu di dalam terang pengajaran Yesus.
At the end of the day, though, the historian is just limited in certain things.
Ya, dan memang pada akhirnya para sejarawan itu terbatas di dalam berbagai nuansa.
Ya, tampaknya waktu kita sudah habis, saudara. Berikan aplaus buat Dr. Licona.